in his life, including the Nobel Prize in 1923 for his literary work. He was an Irishman. Butler Yeats was one of the greatest poets, dramatists. Butler Yeats was one of the greatest poets, dramatists of the 20th century. He won lots of literature prizes in his life, including the Nobel Prize in 1923 for his literary work. He was an Irishman, but he takes his place among the great English poets of his age. His greatness as a poet is now an accepted fact. J.W. Beach calls him finest by eminent poets and critics of the day, and former is his well-known book The Modern Writer and His World. Claims for Yeats the position of a major English poet and ranks him with Milton, with Wordsworth, and considers him very much superior Browning to Tennyson and to Arnold. So far as Yeats' literary career is concerned, he was greater than most other poets of the modern age like T.S. Eliot and W.H. Auden. His literary career was great inspiration in the modern poets. He was great by nature and of bulk and variety of poetry and critics, and agreed that very few of his poems can be regarded by everyone in English literature. His literary work is based on varied subjects as ancient legend, mythology, folk, politics, history, love as well. His creative range is immense. He writes with case and mastery of themes. W.B. Yeats was traditional poets. In his first phase of his literary career was not full of matured. Later, he improved himself and starting composing both modern and the old poems, which contains lots of old tradition and modern mythology. Several critics regard him as pioneer of the 20th century and rank him at the top of the modern age. Yeats wrote 399 short poems in his whole literary life. He composed his poem on different issues among all his poems. His following poems become the world famous, and they arrive at the top of English literature. These following poems are: A Bronze Head, A Coal, A Cradle Song, A Braced Girl, A Dream of Death, A Drinking Song, A Last Confession, A Man Young and Old, A Man Young and Old, A Man Young and... According to A.G. Stock, his poetry vis a battleground. W.B. Yeats was a symbolic from beginning to the end of his career. Arthur Symons regard him as a chief exponent of the symbolist movement in England. He was a key poet of the 20th century. Being a poet, he tried his hand in religious poetry, lyrical poetry as well. He was a poet in his age. Several critics place among the great poet of English literature like Chaucer, Milton, Wordsworth, Pope and Eliot. English literature is highly indebted to William Butler Yeats.